To the Hellenic Polytheists we are. So this is the show where every week I interview a different Hellenic polytheist so they can share their side of their story. And today I have with me Haley. So Haley, hello, how are you today?
I'm doing okay.
Good, good. So in tradition, the way I always roll on this show, I will ask four questions and any others that may pop up. That's just usually improv. So the first question I always like to ask people is, what does Hellenic polytheism mean to you?
To me, Hellenic means to kind of worship or honor the gods, the earth, spirits of the land, as well as humanity and also the beauty of community. It also means to kind of uphold or promote the morals or ideals of like hospitality, self discipline, basic respect and loyalty, as well as kind of the, what is it? The, the pursuit that's the word, pursuit of great understanding or knowledge, whether it be academic or even more importantly introspective, because I found that is the best way to kind of connect to the gods as well as myself.
Awesome. So how long have you been pagan? We'll start there. How long would you say have you been pagan?
I've been pagan for about a year, although I could argue that it's been two,
Mm,
because it took me a good minute to figure out that yes, this is the right religion for me. I am not crazy. The gods are not all in my head, as well as just being comfortable enough to call myself a Hellenic polytheist, even if it's in private, which is probably due because then it would be finalizing my ideals or beliefs, which is probably due to some issues that I had when I came out as queer. But now it's been about at least 2 months or more that I finally felt comfortable enough calling myself it in private. I mean, in public.
awesome. So when was that moment that it clicked for you that this was real and it wasn't all in your head?
Um, I think it was more so a comfort factor
Mm,
than it was a oh, they are real thing. I mean, I'll probably get into this a little bit later. I've had experiences with Artemis,
mm,
some kind of other gods, and it's kind of always been present. It was just more so kind of growing up and kind of a Christian slash kind of atheist background to figure out that this is kind of what I want to do and it's what I've always been called to do.
mm. So how did you discover Hellenic polytheism then?
So it kind of starts when I was about like really young, like 10 years
Mm,
like old young. I read the Percy Jackson series,
mhm,
infamous for just suctioning in Hellenic polytheist. And it got me really interested in Greek mythology and the gods. I actually created a neighborhood club called the Artemis Club that involved worshiping her in a sense, as well as just neighborhood kids beating each other up in the woods. But then sadly, I stopped worshiping her because I Googled, do people still worship Athena? Because I wanted to start a relationship with her.
mhm.
Essentially came up as no and told me that all the people who did are dead, which did cause me to cry.
Yeah.
I rediscovered it in 2021 through TikTok during the whole crazy witch talk boom, when people were going on and on about deity work or worship and made all these skits and interactions with the spirits that they worship. And although very inaccurate, now looking
Mhm.
back, I was just more so awestruck with the fact that, wait a minute, people actually worship the gods and do this. Wait a minute, I can do this again too. Like, and it kind of just got me to rekindle my relationship with Artemis as well as other gods like Apollon, Athena, Hades, who's now actually one of my patrons.
Mm.
It's nice.
So that reminds me of when I started being a pagan the long time ago, 2009. So it's been a minute. But the first one I felt drawn to when I was thinking who would be my goddess was Diana. And because of Dianic Wicca or Dianic Wicca, that's mostly a female branch of Wicca. And it said that only females would worship the goddess Diana. And I was like, well, crap.
Yeah, even like for my Artemis club, like it was like boys aren't allowed, but at the same time they were allowed. And then I created, not really creative, I was like, okay, you're a polo club, and we all hang out together.
Mm. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
The whole mythic literalism, me not really understand because I was 10 years old, you know.
Right. Right. So your main goddess is Artemis. So did you discover her through just a love of nature? And how did you, the guys in your life, how did you come to form the connection and bond you have with?
I was just really kind of connected to Artemis because of nature, but as well as kind of the idea of independence and standing up for yourself, as well as kind of keeping moving. I was a very kind of active kid in the woods. Before the club, we were doing pine cone wars, which is essentially just grabbing a whole bunch of pine cones and then pelting it at each other.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun. Also, acorn wars, same idea. It was just kind of really hanging out in the woods. Kind of when I was younger, I went through some experiences. I was bullied a lot, so I think I was just kind of drawn to Artemis as a fact of kind of just standing up for myself, being who I am, and not kind of dealing with any kind of bull crap that may come through my way. And
Mm.
then Hades kind of being a patron was very sudden. As in I wasn't even really worshiping him, and he kind of just popped up and was like, "Hey, yeah, by the way, I'm your patron." I was like, "Okay." But which was because I've been worshiping Artemis essentially since I was 10 years old. Mine is, of course, the years in between. So I was surprised that she wasn't it, even though she's my main god, kind of goddess that I worship. But I've always kind of been interested. I'm, of course, also a witch because witch talk was the thing kind of that brought me in. I've always been interested in kind of like folk magic, which is kind of magic of the land and kind of ancestors and ancestral practice, as well as kind of death work and kind of finding death and life and the duality and balance between that. Um, which I'm surprised Persephone hasn't popped up as much because of that as well.
Right.
But yeah, and then Apollo, because I started worshiping her sister, and I was like, okay, maybe I should do Apollo as well because twins come in, they come in duos. Same thing as Thanatos and Hypnos. Once you start one, you can't do the other.
Right.
Um, and Athena was more so to help with school. I forgot. I think it was the play Epic that was like recent. Um, but I kind of listened to her song, and it just kind of like Artemis when I first started. Her name was in my head constantly, and even when I was going to sleep, I couldn't stop thinking about her. And it got to this point that it was like, as soon as I made an altar for her, it was all peace and quiet. It was tranquility.
Mm. That reminds me of one another story I had that they've what got me into Hellenic polytheism outside of Dionysus was Ikate, and I was listening to a pagan podcast one day, and they talked about Ikate as a goddess, and I was and like you, that name just rung in my head. Like I had to find out who is this, and through her, I found out through Hellenic polytheism through her. So I get what you're saying about that. I'm wondering, how do you honor your gods, Artemis, Hades, and particularly, I'm interested in those two. How do you like to honor those?
So I mostly so I still kind of give physical and votive offerings, but my main kind of source of worship is actually devotional offerings.
Mm,
That is my favorite thing to do because it kind of incorporates the gods in like my everyday life, as well as just kind of feeling a connection to them kind of constantly. And I really enjoy kind of making things for them. I actually
mm.
recently an offering bowl to Hades, which has like I can actually, it's right next to me. It has like a little like pomegranate in it.
Whoa.
Kind of reminded me of caves, so that's why I did that. That's on the bottom too in Greek. Um, but I just really enjoy doing kind of my devotional offering for Artemis. One thing that I love doing, even if it's just like kind of once a month, because I hate summer and it's hot and I don't like being outside. But as soon as it hits fall or winter, I'm like all out. Is I love bring a trash bag with me when I start to take a walk, and I can just put trash in it as I'm going, and then throw it all away in the end, so that it helps clean up kind of my community as well as kind of like the kind of like the outdoors.
Hmm.
Um, I also love archery, and that's something I always loved doing it. Um, that was another big thing that I did when I started doing when I was 10 years old. Actually, I remember the year now because it was 2012 because that's when the Brave movie came out, and that was also a big thing for me. Um, so there was that. For Apollon, I really enjoy learning about kind of tarot and divination and connecting through them in that way. Hades is also pretty much kind of there's one book that I read that I really enjoyed devoting to. It was called "Will My Cat Eat My Apples?" Strange from Tiny Mortals about death, as well as just kind of. And there was also was it called Death of You, which was more so a kind of coming to terms book with it. So there's a lot I like doing with that, as well as just having space for people and empathy as well, no matter kind of what they're going through, as well as taking time for myself and giving myself time to deal with some things that are going on and just not burning out. And kind of bringing in, again, kind of that idea of promoting kind of self respect and also respect to others.
Mm. Yeah, for a minute, I thought about taking up archery as a devotion to
Nice.
Apollo. Can you imagine me shooting a bow and arrow?
It makes
That sounds neat.
you get used to it. The most things I've seen that my sister has done wrong when she first started out was that she would try to act all cool and do like all these weird contortionist positions while she was trying to
Right.
shoot. And I was like, dude, just let go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a trick to it. Like you're not supposed to hold the arrow so tight. You're supposed to. There's like a loose
I hold with
technique.
fingers. You're supposed to hold with three. I hold it with two because three feels like, and it feels like I'm kind of actually moving my arm up, which then will like mess up the arrow.
Yeah,
So I got back calluses right there for that.
very cool. So you have an archery range outside that you practice with, I
Um,
guess.
Straight up just shoot in my backyard. I have a target that definitely needs to be replaced because all the foam is coming out of it.
Hmm.
How long I've had it, and then I have kind of like just two bows. One bow that I kind of invested in, which is a recurve, and then my grandfather's longbow, which was just given to me, which probably has an over 100-pound draw weight. Which
Mm.
add can't pull back, which is extremely painful when I do it, and I only shoot like 5 times off of it. This is of course during the fall and winter when I like being outside. Is I'll take like my skirt and I'll move it like past my hand and use that because it also doesn't have was it the cushions for the finger
Mm.
pad, so it hurts.
Mm. I'm sure it does. And thinking about it, just over time, your fingers probably get raw. I mean, I
Oh
can
yeah,
just imagine.
actually got a cut on both of my fingers. It like digged in and was really red and swollen for a day or two.
They always say you own it if you bleed on it, so I guess it's yours now. So Thanatos, that's another one that a deity that I back in the day had a connection to. Um, how do you? I don't want to put words in your mouth. How do you? What is your connection to Thanatos, and how do you honor him?
Um, Actually, don't honor Thanatos. I was just kind of saying that as a kind of connection to if you worship like one twin, then you're most
Right.
likely the other, or kind of like if even it's like a marriage thing. Once you worship Zeus, you're probably gonna worship her, or like kind of thing with Persephone and Hades.
Mhm.
Um, at some point, I don't really have many altar space right now. I'm currently struggling. Although not part of my Hellenic practice, and I don't synchronize him. Thoth has originally popped up, so
Mm.
struggling to find altar space for him. I think I'm just going to kind of like squish him real close to Athena's altar. Um, so maybe when I get older, that's or get enough space. That's gonna be a D to go, especially hypnos too, because I love kind of like dream work as part of like more of my witchy practice and the unconscious, which probably also drew me to Hades as well.
Mm. So do you involve the gods in your witchcraft, or is that a separate thing?
Um, I don't really invoke them or anything. They're more so included in more of a sense of how I would include them in anything. When I go to school, I mean, I immediately think of like Athena, a couple things to her. Or when I'm like driving, I think of Hermes, or just like outside, I do a lot of stuff in devotion to Artemis. So it's more so in that sense. Um, if anything, I think it's more so kind of the gods have influenced my witchcraft rather than my witchcraft. The gods have I place the gods into my witchcraft
Mhm.
because I'm interested in, as I said, like death work and folk magic. So that's just something that just naturally kind of pops up in my connection to the divine.
Awesome. All right. The last question is: how has Hellenic polytheism changed your life?
Oh gosh, I have like four different answers for this.
That's all good.
I think similarly to a lot of people, I no longer have any space in my room where I could set something down because it's just covered in. because you find me like right before like this last, like I have books. I can use that. Pull it all up. Just bring out 2 tomes underneath my desk. Um, but kind of outside of not having enough space for anything anymore. When I now seeing the it changed how I view divinity and the mundane, even if it's not like a devotional practice or something. Um, it's been raining a lot. I see Zeus in the rain. I see Apollo in the sunlight that comes through my room and the music that I play on my playlist. I see Athena and the pile of books all across my floor, as well as kind of the growth in my practice. I see Artemis in literally every single blade of grass and every animal in my cats. Um, I see Hades and the necessary things that need to end sometimes, whether it be the day, week, year, or even kind of in the past friendships that kind of have gone on too long that no longer serve me, as well as kind of seeing Hestia in the tea that I love, and Demeter as well, food I prepare or was prepared for me. But kind of outside of seeing the gods and the mundane, um, it also kind of has changed my view on divinity and religion. Growing up in an even pretty liberal Christian setting, um, it was taught that kind of God, you're supposed to worship God, or else you will be punished. And it just seemed very fear mongering to me. And then when you worship God, even outside of kind of the fear mongering, it just felt like a chore to me. Um, Christianity also kind of went with the rule that you should be that you should avoid partaking in sin, not striving for virtue, which is, I think, what Hellenism has now come to be to me. Um, and I just kind of I really enjoyed that because now Hellenism makes you feel whole versus kind of like Christianity or even atheism. And the Hellenic gods were the first gods that I've ever interacted with that truly made me feel that just radiated like warmness and being warm and kindness. Um, and it's just even in the times that I wasn't worshiping, kind of through 10 years old to kind of present day, it was just nice to know that where I was in my relationship with them, I will be and loved.
Love it. I love it because, like you said, I feel that too. That the gods are in everything we do, and everything we see and don't see. Um, my wife complains a lot because I have the same situation you have, where there's altar stuff everywhere, everywhere, every room, every table. Every time there's a table that becomes available in my head, and sometimes I tell her, I'm like, "That's a new altar space right there," and she's like, "No, no." So I like that.
It's
And
actually a problem though. Like in my brain, I'm just like thinking of all the things I can get in the future. I'm just like I want a giant shelf in which like Artemis and Apollo can be right next to each other, but I still have enough room to put all their stuff. Any other deities can be put in any other way. Where would I put Hestia? Because she's also first, but also last. But like at the same time, do I want to put her on top? Do I want to put her like in the middle? And it's just I'm just
oh
even
yeah,
just brainstorming every single little thing all the time. It's like, how can I like move stuff around without like tripping over something?
that's right. Yeah, that happens all the time, and it never goes away. I'm always happy one month with 2 months. Then I look at it again. I'm like, I need to do something about that. So I get it. So, what else can we know? Where can we find you, Haley, if we were looking for you?
Um, I am recently thinking about partaking in TikTok. Um, so my handle would be the or Wicked Hag because I find it funny. Um, if I will or will not, it's public right now for anybody. I have also have an Instagram underneath that tag, but that is private. So some people have followed me from this show already. But if you wonder why your request hasn't been accepted, that is probably why. It's my TikTok, and then I will. Scammers beware! I will not allow you to follow me. Some other things I want to promote is Kai. Also Fell the Block. If you're on TikTok, Queen of Skeleton Keys or Keys, who's also a devotee of Hades. Chelsea from the Sticks and Bones podcast, which I listen to also. the Ghost Tea podcast with Alyssa and Ariel. They do some witchy stuff, but also they do some Hellenic stuff or like dating work stuff, which may be really good. And then also on TikTok, Kostas the Greek Witch, which if you're looking for how to pronounce things correctly or just any little doodle stuff, he'll probably reply if you make like a. I'm trying to figure out about this about the Acropolis because he recently went there. Um, then you can just kind of probably message him or just scroll.
That's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. If you decide to do a TikTok, I love watching YouTube and TikTok and stuff, so I definitely subscribe.
Yeah,
And you're also on Pick the Pagan Discord as well, so you are the Wicked Hag there as well. So
I like keep it consistent so I'm not like all over the place. Because I used to be inconsistent and it just kind of messed with me. And it's
yeah.
just
It's all good. So thank you for joining me, Haley. So this was a lot of fun.
this was a lot of fun.
And who knows, I may get a bow and arrow one day. If I ever do, I'll definitely film it so everyone can see. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably end up shooting myself, but we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, thank you all for joining us again, and we will see you next time on the Hellenic Polytheists We Are. All right. So bye.